morning, YouTube. JT here, Serenity Farms prepping. How's everybody doing this weekend? I'm on my way to my camp to just do some general work and relax for the day. It's a happy place away from my happy place at the compound. So, August 11th, Thursday, just a couple short days away. August 11th, pedophile in chief will be giving a speech. I have hired an interpreter and we will sit and watch it together, but likely isn't going to be one needed for this. Intel says that this speech will be this regime telling us that mandatory lockdowns and are all coming to a neighborhood near you. We've known this was coming. We expected it. I expected it way before now as the corruption and treason were being exposed. Besides the censorship, and coincidentally on August 11th, corrupt FEMA and the FCC will be conducting a test of the emergency broadcast system. This will be a little different than that monthly test you may hear on your local radio station that squawks out that irritating noise for about 20 seconds. This is going to be, because the FCC is involved, radio, TV, pretty much every form of communication there is will be interrupted with an emergency test. Intel says that it will be a standard normal test with the statement, no further action is required at this time. Had this been an actual emergency, you would have been instructed, blah, 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 blah. Okay. There are no coincidences. I think we all agree on that. Especially when it concerns this treasonous, corrupt, communist regime. The speech and the test on the same day. Not a coincidence, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean I expect anything to happen that day. That's not what I'm insinuating. I just think that it's not a coincidence that they're giving a speech, which is supposed to be what I had mentioned earlier, and testing that system because they realize very shortly after any date that they impose all this mandatory forced stuff, there's going to be some peaceful protest in the streets. That's when you'll see the blackout, the communication blackout, likely martial law called, depending on what cities erupt, maybe nationwide, curfews. They want this to happen. The Democrats and deep state are planning on the people finally getting out in the streets like the other countries are doing worldwide. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people are protesting now mandatory everything. Hadn't happened here yet because that's not normally how Americans operate. We had used the electoral system when we became displeased with how public servants had exceeded their authority. We voted their stupid asses out. Now we realize the total corruption of that system, combined with everything we've seen for the last few years, and we realize that method of getting change isn't going to work in the current state we find it in. So there is going to be people in the streets, and can just about guarantee, based on more intel that I'm sure some of you have all heard by now, the Democrats are planning false flags. I don't know what, where, when, how, but I know why. They want some type of mass casualty event. Rumor control says it may be at a medical facility or something similar to that, involving the scamorama. Obviously, the people will be dressed as patriots, and blame will be assigned to you and me. Now, with a mandate, you won't be able to identify who the perpetrators are. At least that's what the deep state thinks. Personally, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb, because patriots and some libtards who finally woken up are going to say no more, and they won't be wearing anything. So people who are going to be committing rioting, burning, assaulting, looting, and hopefully not worse, reminiscent of the Democrat-funded terrorists from last year, they're going to hopefully be grabbed, defaced, so to speak, and identified. I think this is going to backfire on the Democrats like virtually every other piece of crap attempt they make to turn us all against each other. Yes, there is always going to be a percentage of the libtards who refuse to accept anything. Doesn't matter why, but they're always going to have to act out. There's nothing we can do about that. Mother Nature will probably take care of all that in the end. But the white hats say they need approximately 72% of the population to finally have felt the pain and be ready to say enough is enough. And when they see everything that's happening with multiple arrests and the military intervening, remain calm. Apparently we're not at that number yet, but it better damn well happen soon, because there is a point where there may be a point of no return for us, regardless of who is going to come to our assistance. I don't think that is, but why is all this being allowed to happen? Because I'm told it's being allowed to happen because the people had to experience everything we're seeing and hearing personally. And they had to see it and feel it when it was nothing but the evil, treasonous, corrupt piece of shit Democrats doing it. Because now, what can they say? It wasn't me. It wasn't you. It wasn't Orange Man. All you guys, look in the mirror, because that's what's happening. And that's when we win over some hearts and minds. That's the theory out there, why there's supposedly a plan, but it takes time. All right? on paper, makes sense. Unfortunately, life doesn't happen on paper, does it? We're running out of time. There ain't going to be no 2022 elections. Not in the current state we're in. There are definitely no 2024 ones. The Democrats in the deep state are frantic. They need to get their Great Reset implemented by hook or crook. They could care less how many people are injured or killed as long as they get complete control and power over us. So, step up those preps. You got 3 days. You got Monday. You got today too. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Get out there. 4 days. I'm counting like Pedo Joe. Okay. Do what you can. I think he's probably going to come out with a speech that's incoherent. He might fall asleep. He might get distracted. Hang in there. But what I think he's going to do is come out and say that everything we just discussed is mandated, but going to be mandated 30 days from now, because he's going to give everyone a chance to go out and voluntarily join the family. I love how all the people out there who are somehow pro are like, the people just don't understand that haven't gotten it. They just need to be educated. No, within 2 weeks of that coming out, anyone who wanted it had already gotten it. Anyone who hasn't gotten it is never going to get it. A lot of the Democrats in deep state know that, but they can't come out and say it. So they tried all the bribes. Now you see employers and businesses trying to mandate it, figuring that's going to get a lot of people to comply. It's not working and they know it. So I see maybe a 2-week, 30-day window from August 11th before they mandate everything and down it comes. Then expect door-to-door outreach programs. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm praying I'm wrong. But I'm preparing I'm right. And you should be too. Hopefully, the carnage that will ensue is kept to a minimum. So many factors. That's all I got for today. Like, share, subscribe, comment, notification bell. But for now, JT, signing off.